Welcome to the Impact Lounge. Feel the sound. Legends in the ring making moves all around. We got the fire, the heart, the stories untold. This is our moment. Watch the magic unfold. Welcome to the Impact Lounge, where we reign. Kings and queens of the ring breaking chains. We taking wrestling to a whole new height. Under bright lights, we ignite the fight. Genesis to rebellion. The crowd still chanting.
What's up, people? It is your boy BQ back. The first Impact Lounge Impact review in a couple months, back in the saddle to talk Impact with you each and every week. The man with the most unprofessional setup in podcasting is back. It is the Negative BQ YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. If it's your first time here, we are back. We took some time off. I've explained myself several times, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but I took time off. And I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't miss watching the show. Not that I'm like, I should say not that I feel like the show's so terrible that I just don't want to watch it anymore. It was just like, it was really good to just take a break, to not have the pressure of watching the show every week. To just sit there and just be like, you know what? I'm just not turning it on. You know what I mean? And just kind of focus on other things. And I often ask myself, when is that end date for me doing the podcast? When do I like ride off into the sunset for good? When am I done? And I did look at this as an opportunity. I'm like, well, I'm already not reviewing the show. People are used to me not reviewing it at this point. And when I take these breaks, I lose a lot of viewers. When I was kind of at the peak of the channel, I was doing 2,000 viewers a day on YouTube. Was big time, man. We're doing real good, 60,000 views a month. I took about I must have been off for like 6 months because I frankly got burnt out. Burnt out from the content, but burnt out from the show as well. This was the era where they were kind of pushing Tessa Blanchard, which I love Tessa Blanchard, but she was beating OVE every single week. She never lost. And then she was teaming with Moose or Johnny Impact every week. And it was just like, or Eddie Edwards. And I felt like I was watching the same show over and over. And I really got tired of it. And I got really burnt out. When I took that break, I lost a lot of viewers, you know what I mean? Which is fine. I'm not going to make myself crazy over making sure I have viewers and subs and hits and all that. So I would imagine coming back now, it's going to be an adjustment as well. I'm probably going to lose some. I probably lost some viewers over the last couple months. That's fine though. Those who really rock with me are still here, and you're checking me out. But to go back to what I was saying, I often wonder, when will I be done? I'm going to be 46 in October, which is closer to 50 than it is 40. And I don't want to be one of those old dude podcasters. I already am. But I don't want to be that dude like in his 50s podcasting. And I know there's people who do. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, for me in my life, that's just not what I want. So I said, maybe this is my opportunity. I can just quietly stop doing this, But I found myself back to watching the show. People asking for me to come back. So I'm here. And we will reevaluate things at the end of the year. And I say that every year. I'm like, maybe this is my last year doing this. I'm probably closer to that being a reality this time around, but I don't know. We're just going to kind of see how I feel. What usually draws me in is that the TNA programming around January is usually really good. The November, December usually is not. So that's where I'm kind of like, I think I'm done. And then all of a sudden they kind of, the Hard to Kill, I guess it's Genesis now, but that season has always dragged me back in. So, we'll see. But, I've always had kind of a difficult schedule to work with, but the current one I'm on is the hardest by far. And I'll talk about that next week because I don't want to get too off track here. We want to talk about this episode of Impact. I didn't think this was real good. This was not the best episode for me to come back to. But they had a couple of moments that I liked, that I enjoyed. I didn't think it was bad. I shouldn't say it wasn't good. It was just kind of there, That's all it was. There was a couple important parts, but the rest of it was just kind of there. So I talked a little bit. I uploaded a podcast a few days ago, and I talked about the TNA and the NXT partnership, my concerns with that, and I didn't really get that this episode. I was a little worried. I was following the show enough. I wasn't watching it at all. When I'm saying I did not, like, I canceled TNA Plus. I even removed TNA from my Twitter bio, like as far as mention or anything. Like I really was done, or pretty sure I was going to be done. But I canceled TNA Plus and all that. But I did kind of catch some. I mean, I talked to enough people, number one, and number two, Facebook, YouTube, whatever clips come across my way, so I kind of have an idea of what they're doing. And I just felt like there was too much NXT going on. Now, this episode here was not that bad. There's Trick Williams. There was a couple. It showed a clip. I forgot who was talking to him. I'll get to in the review. Talking to a couple jobbers at NXT. It felt more TNA this time around, but hopefully, I just don't want him to overdo it with the TNA thing. That's like really what it boils down to. So let's get into this episode. I'm going to talk about this. I'm out of practice a little bit. I might run through some of these things pretty quickly. So, kind of bear with me. I don't even remember what the volume level for my sound bites is supposed to be. And I've kind of struggled with that over the past year anyway. Sometimes too quiet, sometimes too loud. I'm like trying to find that right sweet spot. So I'm hoping I've got the right setting here. Excuse me. Hold up. Ooh, okay. There we go. Now we're talking. Hopefully I got a good setting. And we're going to go from there. So I am your boy BQ. And we're going to get into this episode of TNA Impact.
TNA Impact. Oh.
All right. So something that I explained to you guys on this last upload that I did when I was beginning to make my return was that I do not like Robert Stone. I don't like him as a person. And when I knew he was going to have this match with Santino for, control of TNA or whatever, if he won the match, I knew that I was not coming back at that point, because I knew that if he won, he was going to be in charge for at least the rest of the year. And at that point, what's the point? You know what I mean? So I did put it out there beforehand. As much as I want the Santino character to be gone, I legitimately, personally do not like Robert Stone. So I had told you guys I just will not watch the show. So this kicks off here with Santino.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
And I was already warned of this ahead of time, so I actually completely fast forwarded through it. I didn't listen to his promo. I know that he kicked them out of the building. I saw a tweet saying that he was going to be back. If he is back, you will just see BQ go on hiatus again, okay? Throw that out there right now. But I don't know what Santino talked about. Thank God he was only on the show once. Just at the very, very beginning. They actually promoted this in the graphics. Like, we'll hear from Santino. Like we don't hear from him 6-7 times every single week. But yeah, who knows what the hell he said. I fast forwarded through it. It felt great to hit that fast forward button. And then he introduces, because we get into the first match of the evening. Your ring announcer, of course, is Mackenzie Mitchell.
Ding bong, ding dong, he's Stone Cold Aye.
And he introduces the returning Inspiration.
I am iconic.
They've really, really gotten this Knockouts division back on track. They really have. I can't say enough good things about it. I put out a Twitter. We're going to get to the 841 match later, or whatever the hell that match is called. We're going to get to that later, but I put it out on X that it feels like a year ago, if they did this match, every single knockout in the division would have been in it, right? 8 knockouts. It would just feel like the entire roster was in the match. They were able to do this 841 match. There was no Inspiration. There was no Elegance brand. There was no Laying Lee. There was no Alicia Edwards. There was no Harley Race and Maya Moore, whatever their names are. There was none None of them. And I don't even know if I'm still missing a name. I might be, but it just shows you the growth of the division. And one thing I explained to you that this year they wanted to get the Knockouts division back on track. You know what I mean? And that just kind of seems like they're staying true to that. So that's awesome. The let me get to my notes here. I'm sorry because who were their opponents? The opponents were Missa Kate and Brittany Brooks.
Doesn't even go here.
So I actually like Missa Kate. I've explained this before because she's been on the show before. She was in NWA. She's pretty good. She's a little plain as far as her appearance, so it would be tough to see much of a character with her. You know, it worked in NWA, but I'm actually a fan of hers. I think she's pretty good. They use her in an enhancement role here, and she teamed up with Brittany Brooks. I'm happy to see the Inspiration back. I was disappointed when the run ended because it literally came off. At first, I was like really proud of them, like, wow, you landed this great Knockouts tag team. And it literally came off like, hey, you were in WWE, come run through our division, and then leave. And the first time around, I thought they were like signed. I didn't know it was like a 6-month run. It was like they came, won the titles on the first night, lost them, and left. And they were doing some good television, some entertaining television. So I'm very happy to see them back. I think they have a good act. They feel like a big deal on the show. You know, the disappointing thing is that it kind of tells you the Elegance run is probably not going to be as good as, you know, maybe some of us had hoped it would be. Because I've always said, you know, once they won the titles, I thought it would be pretty entertaining. I didn't enjoy the build up to them winning the titles because they just fought Spitfire for the majority of a year. You know what I'm saying? Not majority of this year, but a majority of 12 months. You know what I'm saying? They were just wrestling each other, and it felt like it was never going to end. When they announced that last match, the one where it split them up, I just was like, oh my. Before I knew what the stipulation was, I was like, there's no way they're wrestling again. I couldn't effing believe it. And you know, something I said about that feud was that they didn't know how to get out of it. That's how it came across. But I was looking forward to the Elegance brand winning the titles, and I think they can be very entertaining as the champions. But now you bring the Inspiration back, and it's like, man, I don't think TNA can help themselves. I can see them just putting the title on them immediately. So we'll see. They're definitely going to be the next champions. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This company usually has 2 teams. They have like 3 right now, which is crazy. Someone said 4 if you count Zaya Brookside and Laying Lee. I guess they were kind of teaming up a little. I have to throw out to you guys, this review is going to be difficult because, as I said, I wasn't watching the show, and you have to mix that in with me watching the show on mute because I don't want to listen to Hannafin and Raywall. So it's going to probably take me a minute to get back into it. I'm going to rely on DMs and things of that nature of people kind of getting me back on track with this stuff. So hopefully I'm not too rusty doing the rest of this review. You know, another thing, when I did my last, channel update about coming back, I kind of told you guys a story that I was approached by someone from TNA saying, hey, you're putting out bad information. You know, and then I have a source saying your information is fine. And for the record, I talked to multiple people. It's not you always have your go-tos or whatever, but I mean, there's multiple people in my DMs that I speak to about various things. But really, when I was approached with it, it made me. It was, and I'm already sitting here like I don't know if I want to return to podcasting. I sat there. I was like, I don't need this. I really do not need the drama of wrestling. You know. So that almost told me at that point I'm not doing this anymore, because I always tell you guys I don't care about what goes on behind the scenes. I just get the information for you guys. But it's really, I don't know if you can even put yourself in my position, but when you have something that you don't care about but you're kind of doing, and then someone's giving you questioning you about it. It's like, dude, I don't need this in my life. So for those of you who enjoy what I do, you're very lucky that I returned, because I was really, truly trying to justify not doing this anymore. But anyway, the Inspiration obviously wins the match. They look very good. And, they're going to win the titles here at some point. I don't know if they're going to make them chase them. I can see them winning them immediately. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. What do we have after this? Again, I'm going to be a little rusty here in how I do this. They had a Hardy's promo. They were standing in front of green lights, which I usually give them a hard time about this weird lighting thing they do, but it actually looked cool because Jeff's face paint was green, and it looked pretty cool. I liked it. The show in general looks so much freaking better, folks. The Gia Miller backstage interviews. I mean, I was even okay. So around Genesis, the show started looking better in general, and then the Gia Miller segments still looked like shit. And I was like, why are you fixing one thing and not the other? Now they look pretty good. They look pretty professional. So it only took me asking for like what felt like 5 years for them to improve the production quality of the show. And what I always said was that some of it does not cost money. Some of it is not a financial thing. You can say, well, TNA doesn't have the financials to upgrade the production. Like you can improve lighting and not do stupid things with lighting for free. Well, they used to say free 99. You could do that shit for free. You know what I'm saying? So it's good to see the show just looking and feeling so much better. Someone was saying against all odds, depending on where you watch it. If you watch it, what were they telling me? I don't know what the platforms are for TNA, but they said there's one that has the yellow filter and then one that doesn't. Like, what? Why? Like, please stop. But the show is looking pretty good. And then it shows, this is what I was saying earlier, shows a segment from NXT. Elijah is backstage talking to some jobbers. Why is this dude like in the main event? I don't care that people from WWE come over. I don't. I know it may sound like I do. I don't. It's when they come over and they're like in a jobber status in one company and then just they're just in the main event all of a sudden. That's where I have an issue. You can get away with it with the knockouts. Like Indy Hartwell, jobber, she can come over and be a player in the knockouts division. It's not as offensive. But for the males, I would rather them bring someone over that looked like they had some talent. Okay, I'm going to give you an example here. Say once upon a time they would have brought Adam Rose over. Okay? Similar like jobberish character, I would say, to Elijah in WWE. Say they brought Adam Rose over. But he came over and they repackaged him and he was not at the top of the card. Not necessarily at the bottom of the card, but he's just firmly in the middle, just kind of doing his thing. And they're seeing what they can get out of this guy. What can we do with him? Can we see something that WWE missed in this guy? And then kind of build from there. And then if you get a main eventer, awesome. I bring up EC3 a lot. Steve Macklin is an example. I would even say Drew Galloway is an example, because they very easily, when they signed him once upon a time, could have just put the belt on him. But it was really quite a long journey for him to ultimately be the champion. But he was handled really, really well. He didn't just come in and, hey guys, I was Vince's, pet project at WWE, put me in the main event, Like, this dude is not a main eventer. So, yeah, he's talking to a couple jobbers, and I think they're going to wrestle on NXT. I feel like we didn't get a lot of matches on this episode. It gets into the first class penthouse. Their guest is Trick Williams.
How about Magic Trick?
And I got to work on that soundbite. It's very quiet. That's the Joker. How about a magic trick? I explained to you guys in my last upload too. I'm not a huge Trick Williams fan. From what I've watched from NXT, I can see why people like him. I didn't really connect to him. I don't understand the whoop that trick thing, because if he's Trick, why does he chant that, or why does anyone chant that? But whatever. He is the TNA world champion. And we knew that this was going to happen at some point. Hannafin has been saying it without saying it for a long time that someone from NXT was going to win a TNA title. I thought it was going to be the Knockouts championships or the tag team championships, and it wasn't. It ended up being the world title. They were unwilling to have someone from the TNA roster beat Joe Hendry, who, from what I've noticed without really watching in the last couple months, has really like fallen off a cliff. There's a meme out there. I posted it in the Impact Lounge engagement group on Facebook. It's the one where it shows a kid jumping into his mom's arms in the pool, and the mom is paying attention to the kid. The other kid is like drowning, and then underneath it'll show like a skeleton sitting on a throne underwater, like someone who died. And the point is to saying it's a flavor of the month meme. That's what it's getting at. So it had Mr. Iguana as the kid jumping into the mom's arms, and then it shows Ron Killings drowning, and then it shows Joe Hendry dead under the water. It feels like it's fallen off very quickly, and that was always going to happen. Someone like him is a flavor of the month. They are a flash in the pan. Like, you can try to sit here and make the dude a main eventer. He's not. It worked for a short period of time, so it was probably time to get the belt off him. And I've been saying for the longest time, Mike Santana is the guy they want to be the champion. But it's easier to have Mike Santana beat Trick Williams than it is Joe Hendry. They didn't want to do that. Obviously, it would be a silly match to begin with. There'd be absolutely no heat. There'd probably be no chemistry in the ring. The promos battles would be a nightmare. So this makes a little bit more sense. So I think everyone sees that coming. I think it's pretty safe to say Santana's going to get the belt off him initially. So after this, we get they show us almost it felt like Jason Hotch versus Mustafa Ali. This is a storyline that I'm completely lost on. I just know that it looks like they're kind of teasing breaking up the Order 4. It all happened very quickly. They became the Order 4 during my hiatus, and they're already teasing a breakup during my hiatus. So it was all very, very quick. People have been waiting for Jason Hotch to get that run. Someone asked me on Twitter if I was in charge of TNA, who would I push that's not getting pushed right now? I actually said Xia Brookside. And there's people who don't agree with that. But that's who I would push in the Knockouts division. Of course, the answer everyone gave was Jason Hotch. What about Jason Hotch? Dude, this is a talented dude. We've been wanting to see him break off. But when I say like Xia Brookside, I could see a world where she could win the title for a brief period of time. And this would take a lot of build up, a lot of work on the character. I'm not saying, next month she can win the title. She's nowhere near the title picture. But Jason Hotch, I just don't see him. Like, I see him maybe winning the X Division championship, but I just see him staying there for the rest of his career, like Trey Miguel or Ace Austin or something like that. You know what I mean? I don't see a world where he's like the next AJ Styles or something. So that's the only reason I didn't say him, but people have been looking forward to him breaking off. He's cutting some promos. He's talking. He can talk. It's going to be interesting to see how they do this, if they break up the good hand jobs. But there's definite dissension with everyone. So it shows what feels like the match in its entirety. And remember, at this point here, we must be almost 45 minutes to the show, and we've had one match. And then it has Jason Hodges backstage. I don't even remember who walked up to him. It might have been Tasha Steelz or there's what's his fuck. But then the system walks up and says, "There's dissension in the system. There's a spot for you in the system." There's not, by the way. But they're saying you can join the system, and then they kind of have a nice little face off with the Order 4. I was like, because Mustafa Ali walks up. I was like, I could be into this. I could be into. They're all heels, but I could see a nice little feud here. There's a tie-in with Alicia and Tasha Steelz. You know what I'm saying? So then they finish that, and they are Alicia starts saying, "Hey, you," and I'm thinking she's calling out Tasha Steelz, which I thought made sense. But no, it was randomly the TNA cockroach, Matt Cardona.
You know, it's like you don't care about this company at all.
No fucking shit, I don't care about this company. Why, you this is just an ATM to me.
And I guess he's a babyface now. And next week he's going to get a mystery partner to wrestle the fucking system. If your expectations are here, bring them to about here. All right. Do not get excited about a potential mystery partner. I have said this time in, time out. Nobody does the mystery surprise partners and or opponent worse than TNA. Exhibit A was freaking hometown, Mr. Hometown, or whatever the hell he was at Against All Odds. Go before that to the, what was the show I went to in Las Vegas? I don't remember the name of it. And it's, Reggie from NXT. It's WrestleMania weekend. You have everybody there. And you bring in this guy. You know what I'm saying? Keep your expectations low, folks. I cannot remember the last time they legitimately had one of these surprises, and it was like Hannafin is going to sell it like it's the greatest thing in the world. You know what I'm saying? But expectations low as dog balls, like seriously. And then after this, I don't know if this is a brand new thing that they're doing. It's the freaking injury report.
You have 24 hours to live.
24 hours?
Well, 22. I'm sorry I kept you waiting so long.
I mean, I see what they're trying to do with it, trying to present it like maybe a real sport. He said, Heather by Elegance has a chipped tooth. She'll be in. They listed like 3 people, and then they're all wrestling tonight. You know what I'm saying? So are they fucking injured? Anyway, I would care if it was like legitimately like someone's hurt. You know what I mean? They're going to be out of commission for a little bit. But so Tessa Blanchard took a shot to the jaw. She'll be here later tonight. So it's whatever. Yeah, hit us. Tessa Blanchard has 24 hours to live, something like that. I mean, come on. So yeah, and then after this we get what do we get? Sorry, I'm struggling to go through these notes. It looks like we have Jason Hotch.
Hey, for another 60, I'll jerk you off in the parking garage.
And taking on Leon Slater.
Hey, here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
This was obviously an excellent match. Would I have put it here? Like, they're trying to get people behind Jason Hotch. So why not have a really exciting match to do that with? Man, it just seems like something they could have weighted down the line a little bit when both of them were kind of like built up to be something. Number 1 contenders X Division match where you really don't know who's going to win. I would have saved it for something like that, but I'm not mad at it. This was pretty good. Little flippy for my taste as these kind of matches always are, but I would imagine 99.9% of you guys really enjoyed this. Every time Leon Slater does that Swanton 360, 460, 720, whatever the number is, every time he does that, it is very impressive. You're watching it, and it looks like a video game move. I don't know how he does it, but that move's incredible. And so these guys are both very, very good. Jason Hotch came down as a baby face, slapping hands, fist bumps with John Skyler. So I don't know exactly where they're going with it. Obviously, they're going to break him off, and he's going to be a baby face. But I mean, I don't know if John Skyler comes with him. I don't know if Tasha Steelz comes with him. I don't really know. Tasha Steelz has always been pretty over, and they've never made her a baby face. She has remained steadfast as a heel. So we'll see. I did see that Ali wrestled Campaign Singh. I did watch that on YouTube. Campaign Singh came out, and it was his hometown, and I don't know if they knew who he was. It wasn't like particularly over, but he did cut a good promo. And I told you guys when they put the Order 4 together that I looked into it and I said, hey, for whatever reason, Campaign Singh is not a part of this. I don't know why. I would have added him personally. I liked him in that role quite a bit, but I knew that he wasn't. But he's still around, so it's just weird because it's like you had something you could have done with him. So we'll see. And he looks like he's a babyface now. Still has one of the best theme songs in the company. After this, we have Jesus Feet, Gia Miller.
Jesus Christ, that's perfect. Of course you're here right now.
She's interviewing Tessa Blanchard. She's bigger than Tessa Blanchard, which is a weird visual. I still think there is money in. I thought they completely got away from it. This is something I've brought up in the past. But it only works if you're going to really push Tessa Blanchard. I really think there is some money in Tessa continuing to berate her, bully her, and them have a match. But Tessa has to squash her, not like a competitive match. Something that writes her off TV for a couple weeks, which she had her little vacation. They could have done something like this and just wrote her off TV that way. But because she just came off vacation, I don't think they're going to write her off TV again. So yeah, I'm just fantasy booking in my head at this point. But I do think that there is some money in doing that and really further establishing Tessa as the bully that they are trying to, project that she is, or that the internet community says that she is. So, lean into that. But this was pretty good. They're talking about the upcoming 841 match. So I like the concept of this match. They've done it 3 times. The problem is you always know who is going to win. Okay. Let's get through the rundown here real quick because this is a lot of sound bites, a lot of names. So on one side, we had Rosemary.
What's that? Is that Rosemary? Think? What the hell is she doing?
We had Danny Luna.
God damn, bit like Mewtwo.
Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, I don't like this. That if the Nuggets don't win this.
And she was accompanied by Victoria Crawford.
Angel Reese, let's get back!
And then they had their other partner was Queen of the Rubber match, Zaya Brookside. She'd be the only person in history to have a 841 fucking rubber match. Anyway, and then their opponents were Tasha Steelz.
You got a badass over here.
Jody Threat.
I just felt like running.
The returning Killer Kelly.
I'm pregnant.
Fuck off.
What?
What?
I'm pregnant?
And Indy Hartwell.
How long did it take you to learn English once you got here?
It was really easy because we speak English in Australia, you fucking idiot.
So I wish I could show you my notes, but it's in my phone. I said Killer Kelly will win this match. Indy Hartwell will win the tag match and then get screwed, and Killer Kelly will win the match. I wrote that in my notes. I swear to God. The problem with these 841 matches, you always know who's going to win. And so then it's just like a long wrestling match to get there. It's like a long excuse to get there. I would be so much more invested in it, in this concept, if I legitimately didn't know who was going to win. And this, I'm going to tell you this. I was arguing with some Mark on Twitter, Jason Hefner, or I think his name is. Who cares, honestly? I don't associate with Mark, so I don't even know why I'm responding to this kind of shit. But I said the finish of this was very obvious, and he's like, "How is it obvious? Zaya Brookside could have won." Anyway, it was obvious because they told us that Against All Odds that Killer Kelly was the next contender. She made a comeback. It was the only storyline of the fucking match. It's like the Call Your Shot gauntlet, where I say you know who's going to win every year because there's only one story in the match, and the story plays out. So that's how this was too. What story has existed for any of these other girls that they could have possibly been the next contender? Okay, the only story is Killer Kelly. So Kelly's going to win a match. Indy Hartwell came from WWE. She's going to wrestle for the title at fucking Slammiversary. So that's what the finish is going to be. That she is going to get the pin to look strong and then look like she's going to win the match and get screwed, because it's always a screw finish for these. It's always someone goes for a pin, you push them off, and then the other person gets the win. That is how 99% of the time they finish these matches. So it's just TNA booking. That's just what they do. Like, you're going to have the throwaway match, which people are interested in. You're going to have the Killer Kelly match sooner than later. How could you not know she was going to win the match? I seriously, how anybody, all right? If you need to like pinch yourself, am I a wrestling mark? Like, if you thought someone else was going to win this fucking match, like, you just might be a mark, okay? Killer Kelly won, like she obviously was going to do. Indy Hartwell gets screwed out. She's going to beat Killer Kelly, and then the match that they're going to do when it's a pay-per-view is going to be versus Indy Hartwell. All right? So, that being said, I'm not trying to start a rumor. I'm not trying to, I just want to prepare you guys. Okay? I'm not saying that I've received any information. Just do not be surprised if that with Killer Kelly here, they just rolled her contract over because she was out of commission to pay off the little feud with Masha. Not a feud, but, you know, just they always stick to the course. You know what I mean? They were always destined to fight each other again. Just don't be surprised if they have this match. Masha wins and then Killer Kelly's released from her contract or it runs out. I'm just saying, don't be surprised. I'm not giving you guys, I'm not trying to put a rumor out there. I'm not trying to give you guys false information that, hey, I've heard this and this. I'm just basing it off a lot of previous conversations before. Hope that's not what happens because I like her a lot. We all like her. This is one of my favorite knockouts easily. Everyone likes her quite a bit. We want to see her stick around. We want to see her maybe get that knockouts title at some point. You know, everyone wants to see that. But the division's pretty big right now. I just ran it over, or ran over it earlier. We still don't even have Kylan King back, which I'm sure they're going to bring her back when she's ready. But it's a lot of women in this division, which is great. We've been asking for that, but is that the TNA thing to do to have so many women? You know, so I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. Like, do not be shocked if that's what happens. Call it a gut feeling. Hopefully, that's not what it is. But yeah, she's gonna move on to wrestle Masha Slamovich. Good. I enjoyed the match. I thought it was pretty good. Backstage, Gia Miller is there once again, and she interviews Queen of the Garbage Match, Masha Slamovich.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
And I will say, this was probably the best Masha Slamovich promo or interview segment, whatever you want to call it, that she has done. I think the last podcast I did before I took my break, I was just pointing it out. And, you know, every interview with her, the whiny voice and the Wrestling 101 cliches, and, you know, like, I thought she killed this. I thought this was excellent. It's probably going to be a garbage match, but the TNA hardcore is going to be very into her versus Killer Kelly. I mean, that's something people will want to see, you know. So, and you know, Masha's been a pretty solid champion. She's beating everybody, but she's not running through the division. There's a difference. Like, Trinity ran through the division. You know, Mickie James ran through the division. Where you just sitting here and it's like they're almost fucking unbeatable, even though the people they're wrestling are better than them. You know, Masha's better than all these girls, sans like Tessa Blanchard, but she's putting on very good matches with them. She's not like Trinity putting on freaking, 2.5-star matches and still winning. You know, it's believable that Masha can beat all these people. It's also believable that some of them can beat her. So, you know, she's been a good champion in that sense. Similar to Deonna Purrazzo, like, she had a very long run. Same Ty Valkyrie, very long run, but the quality of match, the quality of story was, and the fact that they did come off somewhat beatable, you know, made it didn't make it feel like they were just running through the division and had no one to wrestle, like they did with Trinity, for instance. So, they're doing a pretty good job with Masha. I don't know how long they're going to try to put the title on her. I would not be surprised if Indy Hartwell beats her, because I really don't know who could possibly beat her, which is good. We don't want it to be super predictable. Then we had a Macklin promo after this.
Do the ass kicking around here. Wait your turn, jarhead.
Also very good. So it also felt like they played in entirety his match versus Mance Warner. Mance Warner comes out. So we're not going to get into Macklin what he said. Good promo. They're doing a Champions Challenge. I think next week. I don't have any interest in it. The Champions versus it's like the Rascals. Didn't they have knockouts in this last time? Wasn't it like a mixed tag? It's like the Rascals, Joe Hendry, Elijah. I mean, the Rascals are cool, but I'm just kind of done with Joe Hendry and Elijah being in that main event scene. Mike Santana, who probably will obviously win this thing. It's kind of a cool concept on paper, but the champions lose all the time. So how can you put all the champions on one team and have them lose? But most likely, Mike Santana is going to pin someone on the champions team. So after this, we have a man. Again, it still feels like there's so little wrestling on this show. I know we just had the 8-4-1 match, but it just feels like there's so little wrestling. Mance Warner comes out.
Outlaw Mud Show garbage wrestler.
With Steph DeLander.
Everybody's been real nice.
Well, that's because you have big jugs.
They cut a very, very quick promo. And I will say about, Mance Warner's run, it seemed like he was destined to just come in, work with Sami Callihan and leave. Kind of like, Nails came in to work with the big boss man. And then who's Nails going to wrestle after that? You know what I mean? I really thought Mance Warner was going to come in and possibly be done. But he's sticking around. I just could not picture him feuding with anyone else on the roster. I get is what I'm getting at. I missed what he did with Steve Macklin. I don't know if there was a story involved. I do remember, I think when they posted the Under Siege graphic, I remember it might have been Yellowbone retweeted and said that there was like one storyline on that entire card. So I don't know if that was it or if that was just a match they threw together. I've got no idea, but I'm sure that was an interesting match, but I just can't picture Mance wrestling versus anyone else. I was curious what they were trying to do here, and then he has a fake.
You're a fake and a phony, and I wish I'd never laid eyes on you.
Confrontation with someone in the production. I don't know. They didn't even explain what the hell happened. And it becomes this little like brawl, and then Tommy Dreamer comes out.
I'm fat. I'm fat. I'm fat.
Looking like a stack of tires with a tarp over it. And he gets laid out by Mance Warner. So I'm like, it's like the low-hanging fruit, man. Oh, garbage wrestler. Let's go old school. I mean, that's clearly what they're doing. I challenged them to do something else with Mance Warner and present him a different way. But this is it's whatever. And then another backstage promo. Speaking of fat.
Oh, you gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing. You get me?
He's fat.
Sammy Calorie Ham, the bread machine. Last time I saw him, he was dressed like Mick Foley. He looked like he ate Mick Foley. But he had a very good match with Mance Warner. The whatever garbage death match they did, which was very, very good. I was in attendance, and I'm the first person to say I was very entertained with the match. Eric Young comes up with Mr. Bullshit and Dr. I'm Full of Shit, and I barely listen to what they have to say. Once you start running down the list of AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, pretty good Eric Young, isn't it? But once you start listing those names, it's just such a fucking Wrestling 101 promo for TNA. I just kind of tune out. But he starts listing off the names of the people who could give two shits about TNA to this day. And Sami Callihan shakes his hand, and I respect you. My favorite thing in wrestling, two opponents respecting each other, even though one's a heel. We just got out of a I respect you storyline with Eric Young. So, we're doing it again. But then Eric Young hits Sami Callihan. I can't believe they're finding stuff for Sami Callihan to do still, honest to God. But good for him. Good for him. We're going to see two guys with the same finisher have a match. Very possible garbage match there as well. And then we get into the main event of this thing.
Oh, and a kick out.
I think I told you guys this once before. Maybe I haven't. That Tom Hannafin soundbite. I got it from the match Jonathan Gresham versus Patrick Dempsey when they were wrestling for like 15 minutes, tickling each other's dick and not doing any kind of high impact moves. That and a kick out is from that match. There was nothing in that match that justified that kind of energy on and a kick out. You know, shit. Earlier in the evening, I accidentally took it off mute for the knockouts, and one of the moves was like got a shoulder up barely. It was in the first like 30 seconds of the match, and of course, and a kick out. Like, bro, calm down. Yeah, there was nothing in that match that justified that. It reminds me of the Drake meme where it shows him screaming into the microphone and it says Drake does not have a single song that justifies him doing this. You know, that's kind of how that was. But anyway, the main event of the evening, first class, we got Big Boom AJ Francis. Boom! And his tag team partner Casey Navarro.
Help! He's got a boner.
And they're taking on the Hardys.
Wonderful. My name is Jeff.
I initially didn't care about this because I'm looking at it and I'm just like, man, I'm having a hard time seeing a finish or a clean finish or even understanding why they're wrestling. I was not I just didn't see it. It was one of those things where I'm like, I feel like we're going to watch a long wrestling match for it to not have a finish. So I fast forwarded through about half of it because I like AJ, you know, I like watching his matches. I fast forwarded through about half of it. And then sure enough, Trick Williams comes down. They throw the goof ref is the ref here. Okay. So when he is the ref, the match is not serious. Like 8 times out of 8. All right. It's not serious, so it lets you know ahead of time there's probably going to be some kind of fucking weird finish. Trick Williams comes down, they throw the match out. Shortly after, we get the music for Brother Love Handles, which is Joe Hendry. He's running out with Elijah.
Nurture me, brother. We both. This is the worst song I've ever heard.
And then it started becoming this brawl. I'm sure Hannafin was using his buzzwords of melee and what's his other one? Bedlam. I'm sure he was throwing all that shit out there. And then it's some other. I think the system came. I just shut the show off. I didn't care at that point. Just going off the air with the brawl. I'm like, who cares? Excuse me. I'll find out what happened later. I doubt the show ended with anything important. Just probably went off the air with them brawling. They need an excuse to get Joe Hendry's song on the show. And I hate those run-ins where negative BQ on point today, boy. I hate those run-ins where they play the music because it means the wrestler has to come out, stand there, wait for the music, and then run out. So do they really want to get to the ring and save whoever's getting beat down? You know what I'm saying? So this fake phony wrestling show.
Fake and a phony, and I wish I'd never laid eyes on you.
But that's gonna do it for me, guys. Thanks for rocking with me. It feels a little weird doing these reviews again, so I gotta get back in the swing of things. But okay episode. I didn't love it. It was just kind of there. A lot of talking. It's not that I want long wrestling matches, but I do want wrestling matches. I don't want just like nonstop talking throughout the show, unless it's progressing something. They're doing the graphics are doing a lot of these. We'll hear from this person. We'll hear from this person. Like no one cares about that stuff. I don't know. They see AEW do it, so they do it. But hearing from Santino, hearing from Steve Macklin, which they promoted, did not push any. Like no storyline came of that. You know what I mean? We're just listening to them talk. So that's gonna do it for me, folks. I'll check back in with you next week. I think they've got the Champions Challenge, and I don't know what else, but we'll talk again next week. I'm out. Peace.